Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show live entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. I'm your host, Jim Masters. We're here reporting for duty here at JMS Lovely Hall. Our studio is here on the East Coast in the New York area. Yes, the tri-state area along the southern New England coast between New York and Boston. We are here broadcasting live internationally to entertain, inform, educate, have a good time, inspire. Whatever we do, we always do it for all of you. Every episode is something unique, special, different. And you can even interact with us while the shows are on live. This is our entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series where celebrity friends, guests stop by. We have amazing, iconic conversations, lots of entertainment, lots of laughs too. And of course, the interactivity. If you want to comment during the show and interact with us, guess what? You can do that right now. Right now, when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which costs nothing, the YouTube channel, of course, is Jim Masters TV. That's the name of the channel. The show is the Jim Masters Show. So if you subscribe to the channel right now, Jim Masters TV, what's cool about that is you get to comment right now in the Lovely Hall chat room. That is the JMS Lovely Hall chat room. That's what we call it. It's very fancy, huh? It's the chat room that happens while we broadcast, and you can say hello to one another. You can say hello to us and all the rest. And I think that is so cool. So awesome to have you here. We're so excited. And we're also very excited to have a very special guest here on the show who's coming to us from Fort Worth, Texas. Wow. Wait till you see him. He's all decked out. He's got a special friend with him as well. He's in front of the beautiful piano. And we are so excited to have him here. This is the legendary, acclaimed, multi-million selling American pianist, Danny Wright. I don't think there's a moment anywhere, at least since the 1980s, where his music has not been played on the air or anywhere across America, across Canada, around the world. His music is extraordinary, and he is extraordinary as well. His talent shines through and through, and people just love the sound. I do. As I mentioned to you when we were sort of promoting the show in advance with Danny coming on as a special guest, I have quite the collection myself of Danny Wright's incredible music, and he has so many albums, so much incredible music that you can enjoy and you can add to your collection as well. We're just showing you just a few of some of the albums and some of the incredible covers. Lots of great genres, of course, known for the new age, but he really dabbles in so many different areas of music, and it's all music that makes you feel good. I paused there on purpose because I want that to sink in. His music makes you feel good, good about life, good about love, good about family, good about living. And that's such an important thing, you know? Take a look at all of this that we're showing you here on the screen. Again, these are just a few of the many, 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 many. That's very exciting right there. We're going to tell you about that in just a second. Do you have any of his Christmas music in your collection? I know a lot of you have mentioned you love Christmas. You've got to get some of his Christmas CDs in your collection. His music is timeless. It really is. That's just a few, just some of the incredible material that Danny has put out. He's going to join us in just a second. Again, he's also going to grace us by playing his beautiful piano right there from Fort Worth, Texas, with over 55 recordings and millions of albums sold. It's true to say that Danny Wright's music is playing 24 hours a day in both the United States and around the world. One of New Age's finest performers, Danny Wright is a brilliantly talented pianist. He has sold over 6 million CDs since his debut album in 1986. And in 93 and 94, he was named by Billboard magazine as top 10 artist in the New Age genre. 3 of his albums were included in the Billboard's top 10 New Age albums in 1982, 93, 94. And he has been twice nominated by the National Association of Record Merchandisers as the best seller in the New Age category. Danny Wright's destiny began to unfold at the age of 4 when he reached up, played the theme to Dr. Zhivago on the piano in his family's living room. and recognizing an exceptional gift his parents arranged for study under the respected professor, Dr. Harris Cavender. Since that time, Danny's life has consisted of his love of music, the piano, his desire to share his gift with others. His warm and outgoing personality, combined with extraordinary talent, has enabled him to touch millions of listeners through his recordings and concerts. Trained as a classical pianist, Danny composes and performs original compositions that are blended with various influences. We'll hear some of those this evening, including contemporary jazz, classical, and neoclassical. CD Review describes his original compositions as fluidly crafted, backed up by exquisite musicianship. Danny also performs his own gorgeous arrangements of Broadway and film classics by well-loved composers. And when not in the studio recording, Danny performs in concert as a guest artist with pop symphonies and has appeared in concert at top venues, from the Berklee Performance Center in Boston to Schoenburg Hall in Los Angeles. And in 2000, he signed with Real Music and released Sony Mates in January 2001. 8 of his 11 songs on his original compositions and 3 of his unique and beautiful arrangements of favorite songs. Do You Live? Do You Love? That was released back in 2002. It includes 10 original compositions, 2 of them songs from the music Phantom Immortal, for which Danny was commissioned to write the music, and a motion picture theme as well. 2003, Real Music released Danny Wright's Healer of Hearts, a new record of 2 CD collection. That's a new recording, and his 25 best loved songs. It's incredible. It just goes on and on. We'll tell you more about it. We don't want to give everything away all at once, but no heart or story is too small to touch Danny. All of his CDs include songs written in response to a fan he may never have met, a child or adult in need of healing, for a wedding, anniversary, or other cause for celebration. It's those real life experiences that Danny draws from. That's what really inspires him to write all this fantastic music. And we're going to talk about that and so much more in just a second. So, gang, if you'd like to comment while the show is on, let us know where you're watching from. We love having you here. But without further ado, let's dive right in, and live, let's welcome from Fort Worth, Texas, our very special guest, the incomparable Danny. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me, Jim. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. I know we've both been equally excited about your appearance here on the show. So I know you're very busy too, and you've got some exciting news. A new album is out, and SiriusXM has already selected several of the songs to put on their air, which I think is amazing. And you've got a special friend on your lap there as well. Who's joining you?
The whole world loves him. His name is Easton, and I've had him for 5 years, and he goes on stage with me. We do a couple songs together. If it's Christmas, we do White Christmas, and if it's not Christmas, we do How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? So yeah, he's got a fan club that sends him all these bougie shirts, and Lisa Vanderpump gave him this collar. I tell everybody he dresses at Neiman's and I dress at the Gap, but that's okay. He's a lot cuter and younger.
How long have you had him?
5.5 years.
5.5 years.
Yeah, I toured with, he probably was really my soulmate. His name was Baxter. He was a little white Pekingese, and I had him till he was 21. And he had a really bad seizure. He had a wonderful life to like the last 3 days of his life, but he died in my arms. And one of my really dear, they were fans, now they're friends, Gene and Bob Motta, that live in Bristol, Rhode Island. They saw on Facebook that I had a church funeral for Baxter, and the Texas Boys Choir sang at his funeral. It was beautiful. And my engineer here, Keith Mathis, that's how we first met. He came and he videotaped the whole thing so I could have it on DVD, because it was such a beautiful, funeral, especially for a dog. Anyway, this sweet couple saw Easton on the internet, found him from a breeder in Sulphur Springs, Texas. They got him immediately and had him sent to me like 8 weeks after Baxter went to heaven. So this little boy right here is a gift from Gene and Bob, God, and Baxter for sure, because he is so much like my little Baxie. and he just goes everywhere with Daddy. You know, he's seen more Broadway shows than most humans. I think he's already seen 14 Broadway shows already.
Is he musically inclined?
He loves music. Yes, of course he does. He sings to Barbra Streisand every night before we go to bed.
Good choice, huh?
He loves Barbara. There's something about Barbara's voice. I mean, I'm the biggest Barbara fan in the world, I think, except for maybe Rosie O'Donnell. But he can hear, you know, Cher, Bette Midler, you know, and he loves all kinds of music. But once he hears Barbara just speak or talk, he goes to the end of the bed and just starts singing away. So, of course, I have many videos of him singing to her. So I need to send it to her. So I think she'd get a good laugh out of that because she loves dogs too.
Absolutely. Have you written a song about him yet? Coming soon, right?
I wrote two beautiful songs for Baxter after he died.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in the process now of writing a nice little song for Easton too. So he will have that when Daddy's gone. You know, so
That's amazing. That's fantastic. Tell us.
I'm a big animal lover. Yeah. Big animal lover. I like to do benefits for humane societies.
Yes, you
know,
do.
all over the United States. I just, you know, they are our true unconditional loves.
That's basically where we have ever, you know, acquired our family friends, our pets, is usually from the Humane Society, the local shelter or the Humane Society, North Shore Animal League in New York we've done, Bidewee we did, just a variety of different, it's the best way, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is. Now, but, you know, like I say, you know, they found Easton on the internet and had him sent to me 2 months after Baxter went to heaven. So he is a true gift for sure.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be for sure.
Yes. Baxter didn't want to see his daddy crying all the time.
Not at all. Absolutely not. Real sweetheart. And so well mannered too, right there on your lap, huh?
Well, you know, like, okay, so we would go to the shows. I was in New York right before COVID shut down, and I was doing some music for Steinway. I'm a Steinway artist, and so they said, "You want to see Broadway shows?" Well, of course, yeah, you know, hello, yes, I love Broadway shows. So we went every night to see a show. At intermission, people would get up and say, "Was there a dog there the whole time?" And I would say, "Yes, he's very well mannered. He loves really great music. He has great taste, but he also has great manners." And he just, you know, once the overture starts, he just puts his little head in my lap and goes to sleep. So, yeah. Baxter was the same exact way. That's why I said there's so much alike.
That's so cool. I love that story.
And when I practice at home, he puts his little head on the pedals of the piano. The first time I saw him do it, it just brought goosebumps to me because Baxter did that all the time. He would love to hear me practice. So he would put his head on the pedals and just go to sleep. And the first time I saw Easton did it like probably 3 months after I got him. And I thought, oh gosh, a little bit of Baxter's in there, I think.
What a cute face too, huh?
Oh, I know. He's got such a little smoochy face.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, and he loves to play the piano too. Yes, just
does
like
it with the tail. He plays with the tail.
Yeah. He could play a whole sonata, Rachmaninoff's Symphony number 1 with his tail.
With that tail.
Just with his tail.
Just boom. That is so funny. And maybe if you're lucky, viewers, that may happen before the evening is out. You just never know, especially when you're live. So you're there in your beautiful home in Fort Worth, Texas, and that is where you hail from, right? You came back home. Tell us about that. It's a beautiful spot you're in there.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
That's a beautiful spot where you are. Tell us about being back home and that beautiful room that you're in.
I was born and raised here in 1963, Harris Hospital. My father was a real estate developer. My mom was an interior designer. And my mother thought that a piano was just a pretty piece of furniture to go in a living room. Now, this is the honest to God truth. I'm not lying. And my father worshiped my mother and did everything that she wanted. So he got her a grand piano, and obviously no one played. I was an only child of my mother and father. I was an only child. So at the age of 4, I guess they had been playing that album, Dr. Zhivago, so many times, the album on the record player. This would have been 1960, what, 7? Yeah, 1967. And they told me that one day I just sat down at the piano and played the whole Dr. Zhivago with both hands at the age of 4. And they got me a teacher immediately who said, your son has a gift from God and we need to develop this gift now. So I was very, very blessed that my parents could do that. They got me the finest teachers in the world. I mean, I had Mr. Harris Cavender for probably 15 years. And then I was already studying with professors at TCU. I had Luis Castro from Brazil, Thomas Ungar from Germany. Then I had Madame Lily Krauss, who gave me my full scholarship at TCU. And then when she passed on, I had her assistant, Donna Edwards. So, I mean, I had some of the greatest piano teachers you could ever ask for in this world. So I was very blessed that my parents were so supportive.
Blessed. And when you were younger, coming up the ranks, what kind of music were you listening to? What was the music that was really speaking to your heart, Danny?
Well, I think everyone knows this. Well, you know, the first time I saw Funny Girl and Hello Dolly and On a Clear Day, I was hooked. I was Barbara hooked. So I listened to her albums all the time. I mean, I knew every word. And when I was young, people used to say that I used to imitate her. I could sing just like her. That was before my voice changed. I was in the Texas Boys Choir. But besides her, of course, you know, I listened, who I became friends with, ironically, and very blessed for, was Van Cliburn. He was actually he lived in Fort Worth, Texas, too. He was actually born and raised in Kilgore, Texas. But he moved to Fort Worth, you know, but I think by the time he was like 12 or 13, he had already moved to Fort Worth.
Betty Buckley's from Fort Worth, too. Fabulous Broadway and television actress, film actress, Betty Buckley.
Yes, yeah. So, and we still have the Van Cliburn piano competition here every 4 years in Fort Worth. So even though he's gone, he's set up that scholarship so that young pianists can come from all over the world and compete, you know.
That's incredible.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah, Fort Worth is a very artistic city. We have some of the best. Well, we have Bass Hall, which is one of the most beautiful, acoustically, I think, perfect concert halls. It seats about 3,000 people. Then we have some smaller venues as well. Some of the smaller ones I've played in. I have played at the Bass Hall, but I've played in some other smaller ones. But we have the Kimball Art Museum, the Contemporary Museum of Modern Art. I mean, we have some of the greatest museums here, too. A lot of people don't realize they think of Fort Worth as being Cowtown. Because, you know, down the north side, you know, you'll see people on horses and cowboy hats and big buckles, and every Saturday night they have a rodeo down there and all that. But we also have a lot of culture here as well in the arts when it comes to symphony, and Fort Worth Symphony is one of the finest symphonies in the United States. So we are really blessed to have all that here in Fort Worth.
That area is really growing too. I was maybe, last summer I was on a television shoot in Dallas, and we noticed just in that whole Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, the exponential growth that's happening too, huh?
It's huge. Yes. Huge. Yeah. Especially in Dallas and like some of the mid cities.
Yes.
They're growing so fast, and so it's unbelievable. Like you'll be there and like 3 weeks later you'll drive by and there'll be a whole new development starting or a whole new shopping mall or restaurants it's just amazing. But
So
the thing I love about Fort Worth, though, even though Fort Worth is growing, it's still a very small hometown, you know, tight-knit community. You know, we all know each other here, you know. It's just great. I mean, I went to TCU as well, so you know, I mean, I couldn't be any more Fort Worth, really. Born and raised here, went to TCU, you know. But then, you know, I started recording in 1985. My first album came out called Black and White, which people still say is their favorite album.
I have
and then I started touring, you know, and performing with symphonies and, you know, doing a lot of that, which I love doing. Then, you know, COVID shut down the world. So I didn't really get to do that much. My engineer, Keith, who's helping today, he came over a couple times and, let me record here in my living room, which was great, which was really great.
Well,
Yeah.
once you got that going in 1985, I mean, I couldn't go anywhere without hearing your music or going into any, at that time, there would be the record stores themselves, and there would be the section where you were, and you'd have, this album, and then here comes another one, and here's another one. Then there's Christmas, and there's this prolific and extraordinary. Tell us about how that ball really started rolling, because it's been
Well, it's
extraordinary.
very,
I mean,
yeah, no, it
millions
really
of
is very,
albums.
it's very interesting. So 1985, I was like 22, 21, 22. I was playing in this upscale 5-star Italian restaurant called Salvatore's. It was kind of in between Fort Worth and Arlington. Anyway, this couple came in from Winter Park, Florida. Their children, they had 2 daughters, and they were grown and all that. And he was with General Dynamics, and the wife did nothing. She was a stay-at-home, wife. And they fell in love with my music. So they kept coming in every night to hear me play. Finally, they came in one night and said, "We want to do a record for you." And this is when people were still doing records. It was 1985. So anyway, it was amazing. And my first album was black and white. So we found a studio in Dallas. We recorded the entire album in like 6 hours. It was amazing. And we pressed 400 albums and 400 cassette tapes and just sold them, like at a restaurant or wherever we could. And then we started going around to record stores and specialty stores. And they were selling so fast that they were turning us on to distribution companies all over the world. So like by 1990, gosh, we had about 31 national and international distribution companies that were distributing my CD, well, the albums, cassette tapes, and then CDs. My first
Right.
CD came out in 1986. But yeah, so I was with them for 21 years. And then unfortunately, the lady husband passed away very suddenly of a stroke in the kitchen. And when that happened, they'd been married for so long. She just really it was very sad to watch. She just kind of didn't want to live anymore. So that's when I went to Real Music, and I was with them. I did 3 albums for them. I did Soulmates, Do You Live, Do You Love, and Healer of Hearts. And then they kind of went way new agey. In fact, they're not around anymore, but they went way too new agey. So, and my stuff is a little more pop instrumentalist, kind of the way I like to call my music.
Right.
Heartfelt pop,
Mhm.
Anyway, so I had a friend who said, let's look into like some big labels in New York. So I went to Steinway Hall, and I played this mini concert for like the heads of Sony and Atlantic and Columbia and all these big labels. And at the end of the concert, Atlantic Records came up to me and signed me for a 3-album deal.
Wow.
So I did 3 albums for them. And then, when you're with a big record label, if you don't sell like 100,000 CDs in the first week, you kind of have to, So I kept recording for them. And then some of the people that were there that I had signed with retired. And so it was just a totally different crew of people at Atlantic. So I just felt like it wasn't the right fit for me. So then I just started recording music on my own with my own label that I had at the time. And so people love my Christmas albums. So I do have 10 Christmas albums.
Yes, you do.
10. People say, "Gosh, Danny, you really love Christmas," which I do. That was my mother's favorite holiday as well. But anyway, so, and then just recently, just out of the blue, I get an email from this phenomenal gentleman named Greg Howard and Jack Lesro that have this label in Nashville called Burton Avenue Music. And they said, "Would you like to talk to us about, recording for us?" So, here I am at 60 years old thinking that, I'm just going to do what I've been doing forever. And then, they came out of the blue, and I'm so glad they did. I mean, everything happens for a reason, according to God's divine plan. I'm a very strong Christian. But anyway, so this is the first album that I have done for them. It's called A Time for Us. And they picked pretty much all the songs they wanted me to do, which was fine with me. A lot of the classics like Time for Us, Love Story, Alfie, Strangers in Paradise, Strangers in the Night. I closed the album with a song that I wanted to do from Beaches that Bette Midler sang, the one that's called I Think It's Gonna Rain Today. So it's a beautiful album, and I was so tickled that Greg Howard called me before he went to London last Friday, and he said, Danny, Sirius never picks up more than like 2 tracks off an album. And they just called us and they picked 8 tracks of your new album. He said, Danny, that just never happens.
Yeah.
And I said, my gosh, that's so wonderful. I'm so glad. And of course, you know, he and his business partner were elated.
What's of the Sirius XM satellite channels would they weave that into? Do you know which channel? Would it be on Escape? Would it be on?
It's on Escape. Yes,
Escape,
it's on Escape.
yes.
Yeah.
My dear friend of mine, who was one of the fathers of the easy listening, beautiful music genre, Marlon Taylor, was originally programmer for the Sirius XM. He's since retired, when it was called Sunny and then became Escape. Yeah. And he worked with Bonneville Broadcasting and was responsible for a good deal of the easy listening instrumental music that you would hear on all of these stations, FM stations across the country, and worked with the custom artists as well. And, you know, really kind of cool. And it's such a small world. Did you also enjoy the Percy Faiths, Henry Mancini?
Oh gosh, yes, of course. Of course. Oh yeah, my parents played Percy Faith Orchestra, albums all the time. And oh yes, I love all that. In fact, over the years, I've recorded so many songs by Henry Mancini. I just love his music and always have. It's timeless as well, obviously, very classic. But yeah, being 60 years old, yes, I grew up with all of that, Percy Faith, and so many of the great, like my mom and dad would play Andy Williams, and
yeah,
of course,
and a lot of European artists too, as well. Paul Marriott and Frank Purcell and a lot of the others. Amazing conductors and arrangers and orchestra leaders putting out extraordinary music. And of course, a contemporary, Richard Clayderman. Did you ever meet or work with Richard?
No, but I got to meet him. So when I was in Canada, I used to perform quite a bit, like in Calgary and different parts of Canada. I got to meet him because we actually at one time had the same distribution company. And people used to say when I was younger that I looked just like him because of the blonde hair, the blue eyes. But anyway, he was a very, very nice man and very talented, obviously. So I recorded a couple of his songs over the years. I did one of his on my album called Curtain Call. So yeah, I mean, he's a phenomenal pianist. I think he's still performing. I haven't heard from him in a while, but I think he's still performing as well.
Still performing. Yeah, absolutely. And recording, which is kind of amazing. When you look back at it, and we talk over 6 million albums sold, and this is since the 1980s. And now here it is, 2023-ish here. It's extraordinary. No carpal tunnel syndrome, huh? After all those years of playing?
Well, to be honest, I actually did have a little bit, but I had a great, phenomenal therapist that worked it all out. I never had to have surgery or anything. It was on my right hand. Thank you, God. I found the best therapist, and he was actually in Fort Worth at the time. Yeah. And he helped me through it all. So, yeah. So, I mean, I do so many exercises with my fingers every day anyway, I always keep them moving and going,
Absolutely.
So I think that helps a bit too.
Do you, Danny, have a preference, a personal preference, playing, recording music where it's solo piano, or do you like being backed by an orchestra and other instruments? Is there a preference for you?
Well, it's just two totally different things. Of course, I love playing with other instruments and orchestras. Of course, that's such a beautiful, beautiful sound. And to be on stage and have the orchestra behind you, I mean, that's just a unbelievable feeling. But so many people say they still just love the solo piano music of mine. They said that they can play it, you know, in the background, like if they're having a dinner party, or, you know, or just for relaxation, you know, that it, or, you know, if they're meditating or, you know, something like that, then they prefer the solo piano. So, you know, I try to appeal to everyone, everyone as much as I can, you know, because several of my albums do have like violins and cellos and oboe, you know, all of that. But some people still say, Danny, we just love your solo piano so much. So, like I said, I try to make everyone happy.
Yes, you do. How do you describe your music? You know, how do you, it's tough to categorize sometimes. Like you say, the new age, which of course you've won awards in that category, but
Well, you know what? I think back then,
but
George
so
Winston,
much.
George Winston, who unfortunately just passed away about 2 weeks
Yes.
ago,
Yes.
he started that whole new age piano genre thing with his album. It was called December.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
was his most popular album that he ever did. But anyway, I think he kind of started that. I never really liked the term new age. I didn't really get it.
Right.
And some people thought it had a bad connotation, especially, you know, if they were really religious or whatever. So I
Um,
never really used that for me.
right.
But that's where all my albums were on the Billboard
That's
charts.
where they
That's
would
where they put
categorize.
us.
Right.
Yeah. But it wasn't really new, because it was like, it was George Winston, it was me, it was Yanni, John Tesh, Enya, and Jim Brickman.
Yes.
The six of us were always like in the top 10 on Billboard.
That's
And this
right.
is like in the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah. But I just never really liked that term new age. So what I've always called myself is contemporary instrumental,
Mhm.
or heartfelt contemporary instrumental music.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Which is beautiful. You know, a lot of the music too, when you hear it, is beautiful to the ear and very pleasing. And there's, you know, sometimes there'll be a song that is very peaceful and tranquil. Sometimes there's one with rhythm and energy. What are some of the things that inspire you when you're selecting what it is that you want to interpret? And also, what inspires you when you are creating your own original compositions? Do you pull from just your living, your own existence, your own experiences? What do you pull from?
yes, I do. You know, like when my parents passed away, so it's been, gosh, 15 years now. I can't believe it. They both died in the same year. And like I said, I was an only child between my mother and father. That was a very hard year, because my father died very suddenly. My mother had a stroke the night he died, like 2 hours after he took his last breath. She had a stroke, went into the hospital, went to a nursing home, and died 6 months later. So that was a hard year. So
It's a broken
I wrote
heart. Yeah.
wrote a lot of music for them. It's on my Amazing Grace album. Um, and then, but of course, you know, life's experiences, you know, good times, happy times, nature, you know, going to the mountains inspires me to see, you know, the beautiful mountains of Colorado. And of course, the ocean always inspires, you know, some of my beautiful.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Especially
the
being
ocean.
here on the coast. Yeah, I love the ocean.
And you know, 5.5 years ago, when my little soulmate died, Baxter, gosh, all these compositions were just coming out of my head. I was just writing all this music. So, you know, even though he's in heaven, he's still inspiring a lot of his dad's music still to this day.
Mm.
Uh, People
How?
commissioned me too. I don't know if you know this, but people commissioned me from all over the world
Yes.
to write an original song to give as a gift to their loved ones for like Christmas or anniversary or a birthday or whatever. And so they'll send me pictures of them with a paragraph about the person. And then I put it on the piano, and I'm inspired to come up with this composition. And I write it, I record it, put it on a beautiful CD with beautiful cover. And then on the inside of the CD, they'll write a beautiful paragraph that'll go inside here. And then I put it in a beautiful, like marble, hand-carved marble box. And it's a beautiful presentation. And then their song, lives on forever through Apple Music and Pandora and Spotify and all that. So during the pandemic, I was kind of busy doing some of those for people, which I love to do, because that's something very specialized that a lot of people don't
Could you
do.
imagine a song for you by Danny Wright? I mean, how cool is that, huh?
And I think I need to do one for Jim Masters too. What do you think?
I was gonna say, I love
For
that.
your show? I can write a beautiful song for your show.
That's it, with levity and all, right?
That's right.
You're right. You're right in that genre. Tell us about that beautiful instrument that you are leaning on there. That is a gorgeous piece of instrumentation.
Thank you. Thank you. When I moved to Las Vegas, it was not the sweetest and nicest of divorces. So I kind of just like left everything there, including my piano. So I got back here and I went to Steinway Hall, and they took me down in the basement, and there was this beautiful piano, and they said, "Danny, this has the most beautiful sound to it." It actually is a Baldwin, which ironically is what Liberace was a Baldwin artist. But anyway, I started playing it. It has the most beautiful tone to it. And, they gave me the best deal in the world. So they sent it right over here to my high-rise condo in Fort Worth and tuned it all up. And it's beautiful. I mean, I've recorded 3 albums with Keith Mathis in my living room on it already. So, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
It really is. Was the piano the very first instrument for you? Sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, they might be a guitarist," but then they'll say, "Well, actually, when I was 12, I studied violin or something." How about for you?
No, it was only piano from the age of 4 to now. I will say, when I was 10, I got into Texas Boys Choir, and I was a first soprano before my voice changed. But it was great because I got to tour with them, tour the world, the United States, and I got to sing with Dionne Warwick and Bob Hope on the Bob Hope Show when I was 11 years old. And,
So
so
cool.
I've kind of always been in show business, even as a young child. But I never played any other instrument. Now, I mean, I sang, but once my voice changed, I didn't even do that anymore. I just concentrated solely on the piano. And it's been my love ever since. And 56 albums later, here we are.
Could you imagine? I mean, if you folks Google, you'll see what I'm talking about, and put on a pot of coffee as you're going through the repertoire of music. It's really extraordinary. And
Thank you.
you have super fans, right? I know people that all the way back to that first one in '85. Since there are people who can't get enough. When's his next one? And when's his next one? And they'll be listening to, the previous material and always hoping for more. And that's a beautiful feeling too. I imagine the feedback that you get, because the music, again, that you do has such beautiful properties to it. Some of it is even healing for many people as well, right?
Yeah, well, I get so many emails from people all over the world telling me that my music really does heal them. It heals them, through their heart, but it also healed. I mean, I've had so many people say that they think it's actually healed them from some diseases. And so here, Oh, yes. See, Keith is great. He reminds me of all these things. I'm 60 now. I forget some of these things. I did an album for autistic children, and it's called Where There's a Will, There's a Way. And it was a song I was commissioned by Carol Huckabee, who I went to high school with, and her husband. They have a son who's autistic, and his name was Will. So they wanted me to write a song for him called Where There's a Will, There's a Way.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I debuted it at a big concert I did at the Levitt Pavilion in Arlington several years ago. But then I did a CD of all music for autistic children. So there's an autistic center here in Fort Worth called the Hope Center. They do extraordinary work for children with autism. So they actually play that. So now a lot of different centers around the United States for autistic children play my music now. The kind of
Wow.
music I do, this is what Carol was telling me about her son. So many things distract, like even like electric plug or a light bulb or something. They can actually feel the energy from that. It drives them crazy. But she
Right.
said, Danny, when we put your music on, something about your music is so healing, it calms them down. They actually can take a deep breath. They sit on the couch and they just kind of, they go into like another world. And she said, Danny, you know, she said, I know you're such a strong Christian. I know your music comes from God, which it does. And she said, it's helping these children with autism. So I'm just so glad that I can do things like that to help other people in this world, you know? I mean, music is
Yeah.
such a healing element. People don't realize, I don't think, how healing music is. You know,
Right.
they play
Very.
it in hospital. A lot of hospice centers play my music. A lot of
Yes.
hospitals. Actually, a lot of vet clinics and animal shelters play my music back to calm the animals down. And
Yes.
which really warms my heart because I'm such an animal lover to know that, you know, I'm even helping these animals that I don't even know, you know,
Right.
with my music. But music is a very, very healing thing, you know. It can make us happy. It brings us joy. It can take us back to a memory of 40, 50 years ago. If you hear a song, you know, that reminds you of something back then, or someone that you love, or someone that you lost.
Yes.
Music
That's
is a
what
very, very, yeah, music is a very healing entity. And
universal language on many
it is,
levels.
well, and that's why I think my music can be heard all over the world because it doesn't have lyrics. It doesn't have to be translated. Um, and, you know, I mean, you could, you know, I do get emails from people, you know, in Guam and Antarctica, all over the world, saying that this piano music, it's what they start their day off with every morning. And they listen to it when they go to bed at night. It just heals their heart and helps them, you know.
Mm.
So I'm so glad that I can do that for other people. So it's
It-
not just about being on stage and performing and getting applause. It's actually about helping people, healing people's hearts with, you know, with God's gift.
you're taking those talents and gifts and using them in such a beautiful, powerful, and impactful way, Danny, which I think
So
is extraordinary. Touring and traveling, how does that come in, and how has that come into your life over the years?
I used to do a lot of it back when I was younger. I haven't done that much recently. I mean, I still do concerts here and there, you know, in the United States. But at one point, yes, I mean, I was going a lot, and it was, you know, it's a very hard life. People think it's glamorous, but it's really not. But the great thing about it is meeting people from all over the United States and Canada and all the places I was going, Mexico, and you know, I love meeting people and learning their cultures and stuff like that. So that I really enjoyed, and of course, you know, I enjoy performing, you know, touching people's hearts. But it's a
Yeah,
very, 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 you know, it's just a
grueling setting it up and
grueling. Yeah, I
sound
was going to say
checks and
grueling.
yeah,
Yeah,
grueling. It can be grueling for sure. What people don't
yeah,
realize, because when they sit in the seats, they see they see the beauty of it when it's all put together, but what it takes behind the scenes, all the preparation and just plugging in the chords and just doing it all is extraordinary
it is
behind the scenes.
extraordinary. So 2 weeks ago, I did a benefit for the Ukrainian people after their dam broke in Ukraine. So they had me do this big benefit here. It was actually in Grapevine, Texas, and it was beautiful. People from all over Ukraine came, and you know, it raised, you know, a lot of money for them. Thank goodness. Um, but the Ukrainian people, my gosh, they are so resilient. You know, they've been through so much. And the people that were at this concert, they were just so grateful. They just kept thanking me and thanking me and thanking me for coming to do this. They had this very famous concert pianist that was coming to do it, and he got held up at the border some paperwork or something. So they called me and asked me to do it. And at the end, the lady said, Danny, this was so meant to be. You know, we're sorry our friend obviously got stuck in Ukraine, but my gosh, it was just incredible. And when you touched so many hearts that day. And I did. Everybody came up and told me the stories about the songs and which albums they love of mine, you know, and all of that. And yeah, it was a very moving day. I'm very glad that I could do that for them, for the Ukrainian people.
What is, you know, you've done this for so many years, and again, congratulations on the new album too. What is a typical day or week like for you now? Is the music still got hold of you and it's front and center, or do you balance it out with other things now since you've done, you know, 56 and 6 million plus and counting, and you know,
No,
you
music
take time for Danny?
well, a little bit, but music's my whole life. I mean, I just have to be honest. It's my whole life. I mean, I'm always writing a new song. I'm always, you know, practicing for whatever I have next. You know, I already have like 4 or 5 Christmas concerts booked already, and it's not even for 7 months from now. But anyway, yeah, and you know, my new record label is having me do some new music, so I've actually been in the studio the last couple of weeks doing some new music that'll be on a future album. So, I mean, pretty much every day, these fingers are on the piano. You know, I mean, I live a very simple life. It's just me and my little precious Easton, you know, and I have my trusted little circle of friends that I really enjoy here in Fort Worth. But that's about it. I mean, you know, I live a very simple, very simple life here in Fort Worth. Yeah. Yeah.
What was that? What was that comment from the rear there?
And I listen to Barbara every day. I listen to Barbara Streisand albums every day. Yes, I do.
Now, does she know that? Or
Well, you know what?
Barbara,
I
if
don't
you're
know.
watching, give us a call.
I did get a letter from the Barbara Streisand Women's Heart Disease Center several years ago. I had sent them some CDs, and
Nice.
they thanked me for them very much. And they said they were going to play them in the lobby because it would calm the heart patients. It would calm their heart down, lower their blood pressure before they would go in and see their cardiologist. So that's about the closest that I've gotten to her. But, you know, I mean, she's Barbara Streisand. I mean, you have to, I mean, she's at the top of, you know, you probably have to go through 50 people just to get to her. So, but that's fine. I still love her, and her music touches my heart every day.
She's family. She's family.
Yeah, she's family. Yeah, she's a
She's
recording
family.
artist too, just like me. Yeah.
Another brilliant performer, singer extraordinaire was on our show, Rosalind Kind.
Oh, I love
Barbara's
Roz.
sister. Yeah,
I know. Yes. Now,
she is wonderful.
I actually have met her.
Barbara,
She's
yeah.
wonderful. Yeah,
Rosalind,
she's
yeah.
wonderful. She has a beautiful voice. She's very pretty. I saw them do a
Very
duet
funny,
together.
quick wit too.
Oh yeah, she's hilarious. She and Barbara were on tour together. I mean, they only did 2 songs during the concert, but they did that "Happy Days Are Here Again" Judy Garland duet thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I mean, it brought the house down because it was, you know, Barbara and her sister Roz, you know, doing that Judy Garland duet.
Yes.
But she has a beautiful voice, and she's very talented, Roz.
For folks listening, watching, if you didn't see the episode where Rosalind Kind was a guest on our show, it's archived on our channel, a YouTube channel, so you can check that out. It was really fantastic. Did
great.
you want to tickle the ivories there a bit and play something for us, my friend?
Absolutely. Sure. So I'm just going to do just a little bit of medley of 2 of the songs. This is the new album, The Time for Us. Danny Wright. It's on Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Sirius. It's everywhere. So I'm very proud of this album. So this is a little snippet, as they say.
Mm. Bravo, bravo. That
Thank
was
you.
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you,
Absolutely
man.
beautiful. When you're
Thank you.
playing, what's happening inside? What's going through your body, your mind, your heart, your soul? Are you transported to another place?
Yes,
What's happening to
yes,
you?
always. Yeah, people say after my concerts, they'll come up and they'll say, Danny, your eyes were closed like three-fourths of the concert. How can you do that? And I said, well, you know, I'm transported to another place. I close my eyes. I always say a prayer, that please, God, put my fingers where they're supposed to be because my eyes are going to be closed. But no, yeah, I'm transferred. I mean, as you can tell when you watch me play, it comes from a very deep place in my heart, a very, very, very deep place in my heart. It's just, it's a gift that I was given at 4 years old. And I'm so glad that I can still do it at my age of 60 years old, that I can still write music and still be able to do, to heal hearts. One of the albums I did for Real Music, they wanted to call it Healer of Hearts. And I said, what? And they said, Danny, because you are the healer of hearts. I said, really? They said, yeah. They said, my gosh, we've read letters, emails from people all over the world. We pulled up on the internet. People always say that you heal their heart through your music. So that's what they kind of labeled me that. I think this was like back in 2003. They said, Danny, you are the healer of hearts. I said, well,
Yeah,
that's very nice, but thank you. But
it's a
it comes
beautiful
from
thing.
a deep place in my soul, my heart. And I think that, people feel that when I'm, well, in a recording, but they feel it when they're in the audience and I'm
Yeah,
doing a concert. I'm
yeah,
not, I'm not just here just poking the key, doing that.
right.
It
Yeah,
comes from a very deep place in my heart.
there's a purpose. So, we're
Yes,
talking about how much the music touches everybody else and makes others feel and celebrate life and living and the whole thing and helps some heal as well. What does it do for you? Does it help you with all of the very same that others are getting from the music? Does it help you through
Yes, it
life?
does.
Does it help you heal?
It
You
does. Yeah,
appreciate living and loving as
it
well?
does. Absolutely, it does. People ask me all the time. They'll, after a concert or whatever, they'll say, "So, do you ever just sit down in your living room and play for enjoyment, for you, just you, not getting ready for an album or a concert or anything, but just you?" And I really do. I mean, I do. I come out here and I'll just start writing music, and my little Easton puts his little head on the pedals where Baxter used to put his, and sometimes I look at the clock and it'll be 2 or 3 hours later, and I'm still here, doing what I love to do. So many times people have said, "Danny, you are so blessed. Artists like yourself are so blessed to be able to do something that they love doing and be able to make a living at, be able to make a living out of it."
Hmm.
And it's so true. The older I get, the more I realize that is so true. To be able to do something you love so much and to be able to, make a living out of it and pay your bills. It's
Yeah.
something you love doing.
And have people respond to it and want more of it. How is
Yes.
it different for you today in terms of how you feel about it and how you approach it all versus back in the 80s and 90s and those earlier days? Is there any different approach or mindset to it all now, Danny?
Oh gosh, yes. I'm so much older and wiser now. And I've been through so much. When you're young, you're starry-eyed, and you record your first album, you think, you kind of think, oh gosh, I'm a big deal. I have an
This
album
is it.
out,
Yeah, here we
you know,
go.
and you kind of think, and you're young, and the money starts to come in. You think, oh, this is so cool. Now I can have a really nice car or whatever. You're
Yeah.
just so young, and now, my gosh, so many years later, it's not about any of that anymore for me. I mean, I've had the same car I've had for 8 years. It's a Mini Cooper convertible. It only has 40,000 miles on it. It's beautiful, but
Hang on to it with these prices of cars today. Hang on to that car.
I just don't really care about all that. I've had big homes. I live in a little 1 bedroom, high rise, beautiful condo with my little dog. And it's great because underground parking, we can lock up and travel wherever we have to travel, to do concerts or whatever, record. Yeah, it's just a totally different way of living and way of looking at life now. All those things are not important at all.
It
What's
seems like it's full circle for you. Like you've had an opportunity to experience all the other lavishness of, the rewards of the time put in and all the work and blood, sweat, and tears and toil. Like you said, you were in Vegas as well and all of that. But something about the inner core of who you are as a person brought you back home to home and hearth and that sense of community and roots, which is quite a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I think I'm just at a place in my life right now that, I mean, I've had some health issues and stuff, which I won't go into, but um, you know, each day is a blessing. Let me just say that. And it should be for everyone on this planet. Each day that we can wake up and put our feet on the floor and open our eyes is a blessing, is a blessing. And so, and I've just learned so much, through the business. Music business is a very tough business. It is not easy. As you know, Jim, I'm sure you know a lot about the entertainment industry. It's not easy. It's
Not at
very hard.
all.
It's gotten even harder.
We all make it look easy.
Yeah, but well,
And
when
then
all the
and we
records,
take Alka-Seltzer after.
oh gosh, I think I went through cases of Pepsi AC back then. For
Absolutely.
example.
Antacid, right?
Well, when all the record, well, see, first my music was in all the gift shops all across the country,
That's
Hawaii,
right.
Canada.
Oh,
All the little
absolutely.
gift shops,
Yes.
they would be playing my cassettes or CDs,
Yes.
and they would put it by the cash register, and they would say now playing. It would be one of my
Oh,
albums,
yeah.
my CDs or whatever. So then the gift shops started to close, and then all the record stores closed. Borders went out of business. That was like my biggest. That was the biggest blow because
Yes. I
I
believe we got some out of Borders. Yes. And
yeah.
the gift shops.
And Barnes and Noble doesn't really carry my kind of music anymore. They only carry, the top 40 or whatever. And it's a very small little area now in the Barnes and Nobles. So it's just a totally different life. Now everything is streaming, as you know, Apple
Yes.
Music, Spotify, Pandora. And, people say, well, we hear you all the time on Pandora, but people don't realize to have 100,000 streams, you might get $400 or $500 if you're lucky. So
Four or
it's
five. Did you hear that, everybody? $400 or $500 for 100,000 streams.
1,000 streams, yeah. I looked at my Spotify page last night. I was just looking at it to see if my monthly numbers have gone up since the new album came out, and they have. Gosh, it jumped from 250,000 a month to about 330,000 listeners a month now, which I was really blown away, because I looked at some of my other artist friends and they were like 90,000 or 100,000, but that really doesn't translate into money or financial. But it does get my music out there in the world, and it, people can listen to it for free, and it heals their heart. So as long as I have enough money to pay my bills,
yes,
and to keep doing what I love doing, recording and performing, and I have my precious little dog Easton, and my dear friends like Keith Mathis and Marilee Evansberger. She's like my earthly mom. She's watching right now. Hello, sweet mom. But that's what life is all about. It's not about. I know it sounds passe or whatever, but it's not. It's not about the big house. It's not about how many cars you have, or
you can't take that anywhere with you, right? Doesn't go with you when we leave. Yeah.
I mean, peace comes from within. I know that sounds very cliche,
and
or whatever.
Happiness does, yeah.
Happiness comes from within, and I really think this is the most simple life I've ever lived. And I told someone the other day, they said, "Are you happy?" And I said, "I think I'm." But what is really happy? I said, "You know what?" I said, "Yes, I'm happy, but I'm the most content I've ever been in my entire life, because it's a very simple life now. It's, me and my dog, we can lock up, we can go wherever we need to go."
Yeah, you've decluttered your life, which is a beautiful thing to do. Absolutely. It's very liberating, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Like when I left Las Vegas, I left all the beautiful furniture. I left all the art. I mean, I just left everything. I started all new, even like a glass to drink water out of. I mean, I started from scratch, and I'm happier. I really can say that I am happier than I've ever been. So I'm so blessed, and I thank God every day for that. And, I get up and I read these emails from people about, what my music is doing for their physical, for their heart, whatever they're going through, and that makes it worthwhile every day. I mean, it really does. It just makes my heart smile and know that, well, I must be doing something right. There must be a reason I'm still on this earth doing what I want to do, performing and touching hearts.
That's the key to it all, really. It's the key to it all, performing and touching hearts, and
that's what it's all about.
It's what motivates you to keep doing what you're doing, which I think is fantastic.
100%. And I'm sure that you understand this too, because you've had this show for quite a while, and I'm sure it brings you great joy to be able to do this and bring, these different celebrities that you've interviewed, but bring them into people's living room all over the world, so that they can get to know them better, but they can also get to know you better too as well. So exactly. I think what you're doing is a phenomenal thing, and God bless you for that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was something that I decided, about 3 years ago, just before, the lights went out everywhere, and having had this and still have this career in television and radio and all, I said, you know what the heck? I think I'll turn on the lights and create a little sort of the studio atmosphere here, and just talk to camera and see what happens. And then all of a sudden people started wanting to watch, and they couldn't wait for the next episode. And it wasn't something that I initially thought I was going to be doing, every single day, or, constantly, because I'm so, like, with what you do, my entire day is filled with the professional work. And then there's family and friends and sleep and food and hobbies and weddings and all these things that happen in your life with family and friends. And it just hit a nerve with people. And then friends of mine I've interviewed, on PBS and elsewhere, they wanted to come on the show, and others. And now it's just where there's a waiting list of people, that want to come on. And it's because I said, I want to connect even deeper, and with this scenario, it's the Jim Masters show. So there are no entities. There's nobody else that's creating the format, the vision, the mission, what happens. It's all reflective of me and what I want to present and how I want to connect with people and inspire and share and entertain. So there isn't a corporation or anybody else that I'm beholden to with this particular show. I mean, I have, of course, over the years working in the industry and still, but with this show, when I turn on these lights and sit in the host chair, it's us, it's Danny and Jim and their viewers, and let's do our thing,
I love it. It's kind of like a virtual, like you said before, Johnny Carson show or Jack Parr or Ed Sullivan or, Jimmy Fallon, the Tonight Show, but done in a way that people all over the world can watch your show, and get to know the different people that you're interviewing, get to know them, a little more personally, and if they're a musician, get to hear them, play, perform, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's phenomenal what you're doing.
I know you were, I appreciate that. I know you were very excited because we had Lucy Arnaz on last night.
I know, I love her. I love her.
She's quite an entertainer, isn't she?
Yeah,
She
she's
is extraordinary.
great.
Dear
I,
friend, and she's very funny and very talented and just, yeah.
yeah, I love her. And of course, obviously her mother, of course.
Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
I still watch them, and I've watched them millions of times. I still, when I'm in a bad mood or I'm sad or whatever, I put on an I Love Lucy black and white rerun to get me in a better place. I mean, talk about someone that really healed hearts. I mean, she probably didn't realize at the time, but that her, her legacy would live on forever, which it will, obviously. And Desi Arnaz, of course,
Sure.
that they're
And
still
Dick Van Dyke and all these people,
gosh, yes.
Mary Tyler Moore and
Yes. I love
Jackie
Mary Tyler Moore.
Gleason and
I
all
love
these.
Yeah. And Dick Van Dyke, he's
Dick
still
Van
alive.
Dyke, he's still alive. And somebody else that gave us great joy over the years, Mr. George Burns.
Oh gosh, yes.
There he is. He pops on the show all the time. We did a nostalgic
does he?
episode
That's
once.
great.
He's got a cigar. He's got his red hanky. He's a real collectible. My Aunt Lillian, he's got the cigar right there. My Aunt Lillian collected dolls. She was a serious collector of thousands of dollars worth of dolls. Matter of fact, in her home,
Really? I had no idea.
Her home in West Hartford, Connecticut, she had a room designated to all of these incredible collectible dolls. So this got passed down to me through the family, through my cousin Barbara said, "Do you want the George Burns doll? He's highly collectible, and I shouldn't even be holding him freely like this." But he came on the show once when we did a nostalgic episode. The audience looks for him and loves him, and he sends his best to you, Danny. Talk about longevity in the industry, huh?
I know, my gosh. He's amazing. Well, and then we have Tony Bennett, that's what, 94, 95?
Yes.
And he just recently quit performing live.
Yes.
Alzheimer's. But yeah, I mean, he went on for a long time. And, Miss Barbara, she's 81. She's still recording new albums. And, so it's amazing. Yeah. I mean,
is there anybody are there any folks that you wished you could have, maybe they're no longer with us, or that you would love to collaborate with? Well, in addition to Barbara Streisand?
Other than Barbara, okay. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Of course, I would have loved to do something with Celine Dion, and unfortunately now she's, going through a rough patch in her life, which is very sad.
Talk about that, because we just talked about that doing a concert and probably.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm doing some big concerts coming up in the fall. So Keith, my engineer, does all this beautiful video work. I have a DVD he did for my Christmas album that came out 2 years ago. But anyway, talking about having this big, LED screen behind the grand piano, and then like maybe having another pianist on the screen playing like, yeah, like Van Cliburn or Liberace, someone like that, and then having me do a duet with them. So they'll be on the screen and I'll be live on the stage and we'll be doing a duet together. So that's something that we're working on now.
You know, with
Speaking of,
AI technology and all these other advancements, they can do that now. Yeah, which is amazing.
it's amazing. Yeah. I met Liberace when I was 13 years old.
Did you?
He came to Fort Worth to perform at the Will Rogers Auditorium. And my father, being a prominent figure in Fort Worth, got us backstage so that I could meet him. Well, he was such a sweet and loving man. This was after his concert. He had an upright studio rehearsal piano in his dressing room, and he asked me to play a song. He wanted to hear me. So I had already been playing for 9 years because I started when I was 4. So anyway, you know, when you're young, you're not scared of anything. I think back on that now, I think, I can't believe I did that. I played all 3 movements of the Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven.
Wow.
And when I got through, he came and hugged me and he held my hand. I'll never forget this. He said, "Danny, someday you're going to be a very famous concert pianist." And talk about a full circle of life. When I went to Las Vegas, they did an article that I had moved there. So the Liberace Museum found out I was there. So they had a showroom where they would do concerts and they would bus in, you know, people from the Strip to come hear the pianist play. Well, so I got to do a lot of concerts at the Liberace Museum, and I got to play all of his pianos. I got to play the mirrored one, the Chopin one, the Gershwin one. I got
Do
to
you
play
know
all
Lisa Gay, who manages the museum? She was on our show too. She manages the whole thing, and she was an iconic singer and performer herself. Lisa Gay, fabulous person.
Oh, Lisa Gay?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Lisa Gay. So yeah, so when I lived in Las Vegas, she and I were very, very, very close friends. She actually would come on stage several times at my concerts and she would sing a song.
Yeah, she's amazing, isn't she?
She's amazing and a very, very sweet person too. Her husband was a great guitarist, and I think he performed with like Ray Charles and some of the greats, but he passed away, I'm thinking 4 or 5 years ago. But she's out there performing almost every night, and she is one of my dearest friends. I love her so much. She sent me a coffee cup. This is how sweet she is, and I wish I had it to show you. But anyway, it was the billboard at the Riviera Hotel when Barbra Streisand opened up for Liberace. But the coffee, it's the actual marquee, and it says Liberace with opening act Barbra Streisand, real little letters.
Wow.
So
and she
sent that
oversees
to
the
me.
Liberace Museum. Yeah.
She's a very, very sweet, sweet lady. I love her. Yeah, she texts me all the time and checks on me, makes sure I'm doing okay. Yeah, she's a great, great, great friend of mine. Love her. Yeah.
That is fantastic. What was it like when you met Liberace? What was that?
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, it's kind of interesting. I met him when I was 13 here in Fort Worth. Then I go to Las Vegas and get to play at his museum and play all his pianos. And then full circle of life, I come right back to Fort Worth, which is where, you know, it all began here. So full circle of life. Yeah.
Did you want to tickle the ivories with anything else? A little of anything?
Sure.
While you're there?
Yeah. This is an original song. It's called Stars Above.
Fantastic.
And it's a song that I wrote when my little soulmate transcended into heaven. So, but it's one of my favorite songs, and people love this song. So
here's Danny Wright. That is really beautiful.
Thank you.
That is really very, very touching. You know, we didn't know him, but we almost feel like we do just through the sound, that beautiful melody, huh?
I know he's smiling. He's smiling down from heaven on me right now.
The viewers are commenting absolutely beautiful. You are a gracious guest. Thanks for sharing your talent with us. Really nice, enchantingly beautiful. This is a beautiful song. Loving the interview. And we welcome Melissa Lang joining us as well. Love this interview, Danny. Do you have any photos of you and Liberace? Did you take any photos? I would imagine, huh?
I did, and I don't have much family left, but I have a great cousin in Virginia, Angela Wright. She might have some of those. I'm glad that someone asked that because she might have some of those.
That's right.
So thank you for asking.
And you're now you're a Lovety. They're already saying you're a Jim Masters show Lovety. How cool is that? There are Tonys, Grammys, Emmys, Peabodys. There are Academy Awards. There are Tellys, and all these fabulous awards you can get. But and you've gotten a lot of different awards and accolades, all earned. But how does it feel to be called a Lovety on the Jim Masters show?
That makes me feel very honored and very blessed. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Most guests say their feet start tingling. Are your feet tingling, Danny?
Yes, they are tingling. Actually, they really are.
There they are. There's his feet. One of the guests said they started levitating. You know what I think is fantastic is when you're playing, Easton likes to come around and be around you when the music. Animals really. We had an English Springer Spaniel for many, many years when I was a kid, up through, teens, and beautiful, beautiful dog. And whenever we would have music on the stereo system. Yes, the stereo system, the big one.
Stereo system. Oh yes,
I remember right next to the speaker and just listen to the music. Listen, if it was a choral group, would love to listen to the harmonies. Would love to listen to the instruments. They really do respond to music. Animals, don't?
Oh, they do. They really do. In fact, Baxter, gosh. As he was getting a little bit older, well, I mean, he lived to be almost 21, which is amazing. But of course, small dogs do live longer. But as he was getting older, he would just literally, I would put him on the piano bench and he would just lay there the whole time in my lap while I would practice the piano. And one of the last concerts that he came on stage for, he sat on the piano bench with me and he just looked at me. It was like, I was his whole world, but he didn't realize that he was my whole world too. That's all I had after my divorce. It was just Baxter and I, and so I think that was why it was so hard when he took his last breath. And I was there, of course, with him. But I know he's smiling down. He's in no pain, no seizures anymore. He's doing great. And he, along with that wonderful couple in Rhode Island, sent me this little blessing, Easton. And yes, he lays like right, I think.
He's laying right to you.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, he, at first, when he sees me get dressed up like this, he thinks we're going out to a concert or something. So he was all excited when he saw, me put, my tie on and all that. So
there he is. Here he comes. He's right to the left of you, right behind you.
Yeah. There he is. Mm-hmm. Oh, hi, baby. Hi, Tony. But anyway, but then when I sit down at the piano, then he's like, okay, so we're doing the concert at home, Dad. We're not going to a studio or to a concert stage. So yeah, he goes to sleep. He just, he loves the music. But of course, the kind of music I do is very soothing. It's not acid rock, rock and roll. It's very calming and soothing music.
Next year, Danny Wright's acid rock hits.
Well, I do have to tell you something funny. Now, you will die laughing when I tell you this. So, and I'm sure you know this already in the music business, when you sign with a big record label, they assign you a whole group of people around you. So they assigned me with, a business partner. His name was Phil Sarna. He represented J-Lo and all of that. And then they assigned you a manager. Well, it was this big Italian man. His name is Rick Aliberti. He managed, and you're going to die laughing, but this is honest God truth. He managed Metallica and Danny Wright. Those are his two artists that he managed full time.
Talk
This was
about
like,
versatility, huh?
yeah. But he would always say, Danny, my gosh, after being with Metallica all day in the studio or whatever, he said, it was so wonderful just to get in my car and put your music on. A little glass of wine and aspirin and Danny Wright music, and I and I was good.
And
But no,
all's
it was just,
and all's right with the world.
it's all right with the world. Yeah. That's very good, Jim. I like that.
That's it. That is cool. That's what a story that is, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, Metallica and Danny Wright. Hey, you never know.
That's exactly
You never
right.
know.
And maybe Danny Wright will do the instrumental versions of Metallica song.
I could write some music. I could write some music for Metallica. Yeah.
See,
That would be
good.
That
What
would be.
about
That would,
film
that would be.
scores, motion picture music,
Yeah.
production
There.
music used in commercials, jingles? Did you get involved in all of that as well?
Yes, I did, especially back in the early days. There was a spinoff that they did from the Magic of Madison County, or the Bridges of Madison County. They did a beautiful film, more documentary about the covered bridges, and it was called The Magic of Madison County. So this really sweet couple, that had been listening to my music forever, that produced this documentary, and I think you can still find it on YouTube. Anyway, they said my music would be perfect for that. So I wrote all the music for that, and I've written some music for some commercials and, some documentary films over the years. But people have said, literally, since I first started recording, that my original compositions would be so beautiful in films. But that's such a hard industry to get into.
Skate.
I'm sorry, what?
US skating. I mean, the group that did just the gold medalist.
Oh, yeah. A lot of Olympic skaters skate to my music.
Yes.
In Nagano, back in the 90s, Mandy Wetzel and Ingo Stoyer from Germany, they skated to two of my songs that I wrote, Wings of Hope and In Memory. Those songs are on my album, Moods of Indigo. But anyway, they skated to those and they won the bronze medal. And then they came through Fort Worth with one of those Campbell Soup tour things that they do. And they wanted to meet me. So, and of course, now they're teaching. They're obviously not professional, they're not competing anymore. And so, every now and then I'll turn on, I love watching ice skating anyway, but, I'll hear them play one of my songs, and they always say the music is from Danny Wright, which is really wonderful. So, I do, I think I do it all. And I really, there's not much that I haven't done yet, really.
That's incredible. When you look forward, are there things that are on the Danny Wright list of things you still do want to do?
Well, I mean, I really do want to write some film scores, for some really big directors and producers. That is one thing I really would love to do.
Do a residency. Talk about that. You'd love to do a residency.
Yeah, and I would love to do a residency, where I'm yeah, like in Vegas or New York or whatever. I remember a couple of years ago, there's a place in New York, I know you know of it, called 54 Below.
Yes.
And they had expressed them. It was right before COVID, and they had contacted me, but then the world shut down.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get back in touch with them again to be able to go and perform there.
That's where Lucy's going to be in July. Yeah, Lucy Arnaz. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So many incredible people perform there. It's a great venue. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Feinstein, of course, who's a friend of mine. And so yes, I would love to do some things in New York like that, some residencies. I think
if that happens, definitely keep me posted. We'll have you back on to tout that as well, and we'll be there front and center, of course. As I said, I'm not teasing folks. I've had his music in our collection for years, and all the different, albums over the years too, and including the Christmas music as well. You you do some of the most beautiful Christmas music. I do have to say that. And we have a lot of viewers here who love Christmas.
Thank you. Do you want me to play one real quick before we close?
That would be nice. Yes, that would be, even though it's almost July, Christmas in June, July, you know, you can never, you can never get enough. And when it's beautiful music, it's timeless. There is no clock on the wall. There's no date, especially when it's from Danny Wright.
Thank you. Well, thank you again for everything. What I'm going to play is a piece that Keith helped me do during the pandemic. We recorded an album called A Glorious Christmas. And I combined John Barry's Somewhere in Time with Silent Night. And people loved it. It was their favorite track on the whole album. So I will do a little snippet of that for you. Okay.
That's so
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Danny Wright on the Jim Masters Show. Here he is. A little Christmas for us. Mm.
Thank you.
Bravo once again. And like
Thank you, my friend.
Easton is right there, right by your side, loving every note. I love that. Such a supportive family member there. That is
Yeah.
a beautiful blending, weaving of those songs.
Thank you. Thank
What
you.
where can people find that one?
They're everywhere. They're Apple Music, Spotify.
Yeah, that's right. This is Danny Wright, folks. They're everywhere.
Now, if people still, I mean, some of my audience members still buy my CDs.
Oh, sure.
They still
Yeah.
have CD players in their car. So
They
you can go
do.
to my website, which is DannyWrightMusic.com, and you can order directly from me. I'll autograph them, I'll sign them to you and ship them out. So we also do that as well. But, you know,
It's on YouTube though. You can do a YouTube search.
well, I'm sorry?
They can find this on YouTube.
Oh yeah, you can also find this on YouTube as well.
Yes.
The entire album. The album's called A Glorious Christmas, but it's really beautiful. We did it kind of at the end of the pandemic thing, Keith and I, and we did it in the living room, and the acoustics and everything were just beautiful. So it's really amazing, you know, what we were able to do during that time, you know, Keith and I. So
You did it right there?
yes, right
Wow.
here. Right here on this piano. Yeah.
On that piano right
Yeah,
there
on this-
in
on
that
this-
spot.
Yeah, right here.
That's incredible, huh?
Yeah.
What a team you guys are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's great.
How did you guys come across each other? How'd that
Well,
happen?
remember I told you that when Baxter died and I wanted to have a church funeral for him, I put on Facebook, I said, I need to find someone that will come and tape this for a DVD that I can, just for me to have. And all these people said, Keith Mathis is the best. He's great. And so he came, and that's when we met. So we met because of Baxter. So thank you, Baxter. Yeah. And we've done 4 albums.
4 albums, yeah.
Yeah.
Next couple concerts, we're gonna do another. We'll do another concert.
Yeah.
Wow. And no
And then
relation to Johnny, huh?
To what? I'm sorry.
No relation to Johnny Mathis.
Oh, Johnny Mathis, right? Who I love very much.
Yes.
I love Johnny Mathis. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got to meet him. He performed with the Fort Worth Symphony several years ago when he did his Christmas tour thing.
Yes.
And we got to meet. He's such a nice, very warm, kind man. So that was nice to know that he was so down to earth, you know. So
Just the power of relationships. I think that's the thing
Yeah.
about your music. That's one of the things that I would go with. So
yeah, you know, and I got to meet over the year, so many people, but you know, I got to meet Marvin Hamlish, who I adored, loved when he played with the Dallas Symphony. And we, you know, we exchanged CDs. That's how long ago it's been. But you know, I mean, you know, being in this industry, I've met so many of them. And I will say 90% of them are very down to earth and very kind, loving people. So as they should be.
Now
But I mean, you know,
everybody's guessing who the 10% are.
That's so we meet. Yeah, that's for another time when I come to New York and we visit and go have a glass of wine.
That's an off-air broadcast.
We'll go to the Plaza Hotel and have a glass of wine, and I'll tell you all
Here's
the other stories.
10%, Jim. We'll do it alphabetically.
Yeah.
That is funny. Obviously, this runs through your veins. and through your heart and soul. And like you said, it's you know no other way. It's what you've done since you were a kid. You love it. You've sold millions of albums. People love the music. It's omnipresent, which is fantastic. What are some of those additional blessings and joys in your life, Danny Wright, that continue you doing what you're doing, loving what you're doing, and producing all this phenomenal music for the good of all of us?
I mean, that's why I was put on this earth. I mean, I just know it for sure. And that's why I'm still on this earth, going through some things, I've been going through health-wise, but God, has continued to bless these 10 fingers, even through carpal tunnel. So I know there's a reason for these fingers to keep writing music and playing and touching hearts. And, when I'm not doing that, I'm with my little love of my life, Easton, and we're going to the grocery store. He has a fan club everywhere he goes, So I tell people, okay, it's funny because we live right across from a Tom Thumb. I don't know if y'all have Tom Thumbs in New York, but it's a big, huge, really nice grocery store. So he gets to ride in the cart there.
Tom Thumb, that's so cool.
He gets to ride in the cart. So it's like going to Disneyland. So I always tell him when he sees me get dressed, I'm like, okay, do you want to go to Disneyland? And I have to whisper it so he can hear me. Do you want to go to Disneyland? And he starts doing the happy dance and jumping up and down. And, I take him to see all his fans. It's really
He hangs out with Pluto.
Oh, yeah. He hangs out with Pluto. Yeah. And Snoopy. Yeah. Yeah. And Goofy. Yeah. Goofy. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're loving this. And when you look back at it all, has it exceeded the expectations you would have ever had back in 1985 and even well before that?
Oh yeah. If you'd ever said I was going to have 56 albums out in 1985, I would have said, you are crazy. There's no way that I'll be able to do all that.
In this lifetime too.
Yeah. Yeah. In this lifetime. Yeah. And here I am still doing it and loving it. And touching people's hearts. Like I say, I get up every day and there's emails to my website or just, because my email is on Facebook and Instagram. So people just email me and they'll tell me exactly what song they're listening to, how it's touching their heart, why it's touching their heart so much. And I mean, you can't have any more, messaging from God saying that there's a reason.
Absolutely.
The majority of those songs are songs you wrote.
Yeah, and the 56 albums, I would say probably there's only 20 of those that are cover songs, like the Black and White series. That's all Broadway and film, and then the 10 Christmas albums. But all the other albums are original composition albums. So I've written over 600 songs that are registered with ASCAP. In my lifetime, I would have never thought I would have done that either.
It's so amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
I never really think about it until someone interviews me and asks me about it. But, when I start thinking about it, I think, gosh, that's a lot of music I've written over the years. I've really done a lot with my God talent right here, so.
Do
I'm
you have I would imagine you have your favorites, right? They're all kind of like your babies. So it's hard to, and we're just showing a few of the many, many, many here, but I would imagine there are a few that are just your personal favorites.
Yeah, there's an album I did called Fantasies in 1994.
Oh, yes, right.
That's a very special album to me. Then I did one called Autumn Dreams, and that's a very special album as well. The Moods of Indigo album is extremely passionate to me. And then I did one that I did for Atlantic Records called Real Romance. That does have Somewhere in Time, and it has Moon River on it, and My Funny Valentine. So those are the only 3 cover songs. All the other ones are original songs. But those are probably my top 3 or 4 albums of original songs that I've written over the years. But like I said, people commission me to write original songs for their loved ones, or to give as gifts too. So that that also keeps me busy as well.
Exactly.
And a lot of those are very special to me as well. A lot of my music a lot of my music comes to me in dreams.
Does it?
Yeah, it's so interesting. There's a song I did years ago called My Miracle that the whole song came to me in a dream. And the next day I got up and I like played the whole thing like I had heard it in my brain, in my dream. And sure enough, the whole thing was there, the entire song. And I went and recorded it, and today it's still.
Kind of like a signature.
It's like a signature, yeah, encore song, yeah, that I do at all my concerts, yeah, yeah. I always do My Miracle, and then I always close with Amazing Grace. I do, yeah, for my father.
Yeah.
That's my dad's favorite song, yeah. So I do that for my dad. Yeah.
That is spectacular, my friend. This really has been extraordinary. And we never put any time limits necessarily on these shows. If a guest can be with us for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, we just let it roll. Because like I say, we don't even call these, I don't call these interviews. I call these conversations, like Dick Cavett, like Carson, like the legendary talk show hosts with a modern twist and a modern vibe of today. And we just sprinkled in a fabulous conversation here with music and laughter and interactivity with our viewers who've been commenting and celebrating. This has been terrific. And, you know, when I asked you if you wanted to pop on and join us here on the Jim Masters Show series, you said, absolutely, right away.
Absolutely.
Tell me where and when. And I think that's so spectacular, my friend.
Well, thank you, my friend, for having me. My gosh, thank you. And thank you for bringing conversation show like this back to where, you know, people can have this now, you know, because it was kind of a thing of the past, you know, Johnny Carson, you know, shut down and all of that. But you brought it back to life. So thank you, Jim, very much. I know the world appreciates you as much as I do. So thank you.
I appreciate your kind words. And I say this often on the show, but it's something I've said for years. It got passed down through my dad when I was about 10 years old, and I still remember it today. He says, and said then, Jim, and now this is sage advice when I'm like 10 years old, that it just stuck with me. Jim, whenever anybody says something kind or nice to you, ask them to please put it in writing and address it management.
I love that. That's great advice.
Whoever the management is, just put management on it and get it in that mailbox. That's it.
I love that. Jim,
well,
that's
I hope it is, right? His Irish humor for sure got passed down right here.
Great advice from your father for sure.
Jim
he was
Jr.
wise.
Here.
He was wise, yes.
He's a wise guy. He's a wise, not a wise guy, a wise man. There's a difference between a wise guy and a wise man.
Oh, yes, well, of course. He's a wise man. Yes, a wise man.
Yes, he is. Exactly. He's a very wise
man.
We love him.
That's great.
And, you know, when you think about the people that you've had in your life that have inspired you, you've mentioned your parents quite often. They have really been an inspiration for you, huh?
Oh, gosh, yes. I mean, you know, being an only child of my mother and father, you know, growing up alone, and they were busy all the time, but they always made sure that I had the best piano teachers. Someone would always watch over me, to take me, you know, to school, pick me up, you know, cook for me and all that.
Yeah.
Then as they got older and they didn't travel as much, you know, they were always on the front row of every concert I did. And my mother at the end was in a wheelchair because she had fallen and broken her hip, and she had nerve deafness, so she didn't have much of her hearing left. But they would always sit on the front row, and after the concert, she could hear. She named every song that I played, and her hearing, and she only had about 20% of her hearing left at the end, when she was like, you know, late 70s, early 80s. But she knew every song I played. She said sometimes she couldn't hear it, but she felt the vibrations of the song. I mean, it was just amazing. And again, the power of music, you know, the power of music. I mean, it's an amazing entity, but they were always so supportive and did everything they could to, I mean, you know, they were as most parents are, they're your biggest cheerleaders, you know, and they provided the best teachers and the best education. And because of them, you know, I'm 56 albums into my career. So I thank them every day
Exactly.
for sure.
Ex-
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Well, I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, my friend, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I
It was
absolutely have.
wonderful. Oh my gosh. You exceeded what I thought the show was going to be. So thank you very much, Jim. Thank you. It's been wonderful.
I appreciate it very, very much. Kathleen in New York City says, I so enjoyed listening to your play. This was a great conversation. Thanks, Danny, for being here. And Melissa Lang, Danny is the best, beautiful person in and out. Absolutely. Merlin, she's watching in Canada. Thanks, Danny. You're a true pleasure. Keep up the great work. Kathy Jean, thank you, Jim. And thank you, Danny, for enriching my life. It is our pleasure. Marsha Watson, she wanted to know, are your fingers insured?
They were at one time when I was at Atlantic Records.
Were they?
I mean, yes, I have insurance and all that, but no, my actual 10 fingers are not insured right now. But trust me, I take very good care of them. Very, very good care.
He takes very, very good care of them.
I don't go snow skiing anymore, or parasailing or any of those things. That was when I was in my 20s and 30s. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
So no, I take care of them.
Everybody
These are God's gifts right here. Yeah.
They are.
These are God's gifts right here. Yeah.
That's your thing, right? And exactly. Well, it's funny because when we had Lucy Arnaz on yesterday, somebody had posted in comments on our YouTube channel, which I encourage folks to do. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a comment for us, let us know how much you're enjoying this series. And he asked me if my voice is insured, because he really enjoys the sound of my voice. And I've been on television and radio for a good long time, but it's a voice that has been God-given, and maybe being on the air has also helped it. But but had asked me the same question if my voice was insured, and I said, you know what, maybe I should. Mary Hart's legs were insured when she co-hosted Entertainment Tonight.
That's right.
So, it's
Yep. I heard the other night, Vanna White of Wheel of Fortune.
yes.
Her arms and legs are insured.
I had heard that.
So interesting.
That's right.
I was noticing, of course, I also heard that Pat Sajak is actually retiring after like 40 some odd years.
Yes.
This is his last year. But anyway, but she's staying on. I don't know how she must be drinking from the fountain of youth, because she looks she actually, I think, looks better than she did when she first started. She stays that little size 2 or 4 or whatever she is.
Yes.
And she's just amazing. Beautiful hair. She wears those gowns, beautifully, and
very poised. And
it's
gonna. I'll miss Pat Sajak. He, you think of Wheel of Fortune, you think of him and his dry wit, and what a gig to have as a host, huh? Over 40 plus years as a host of the same show. It's kind of like Bob Barker with Price is Right. Alex Trebek, what he did, Jeopardy, it just.
And Monty Hall, Let's Make a Deal.
Monty Hall, Let's Make a Deal. And do you know who Monty Hall's daughter is? The phenomenal performer, actress, singer.
Oh, really?
Joanna Gleason is his daughter.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
That's his daughter. Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
She was on our show, and we were talking about Monty a little bit. What's it like growing up when your dad is Monty Hall? What's behind door number 1, door number 2, door number 3? I can imagine, dating as a teenager. Who's behind door number 1? The young lad that wants to woo her. Who's behind door number 1?
Hope it's not a zonk.
I guess it would be up to him to say zonk.
Yeah, zonk.
That's it.
Next one. Yeah.
Next. Yes, next.
Yeah, next.
Exactly. This was a good thing it wasn't the Gong Show. Chuck Barris.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I used to watch that when I was young too.
Chuck Barris. Right. Right. And who was the one in the middle? Was it J.P. Morgan? Was that her name? She was always in the middle. J.P.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
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 That Amazing stuff.
I
Chuck
used to,
Barris also created the Newlywed Game too.
yes.
Yeah.
And that was with Bob
Bob
Eubanks.
Eubanks.
And then I used to watch Match Game. Remember Match Game?
Yes, absolutely.
Charles Nelson Riley, he was his
Well, Brett Summers and Richard Dawson, and of course, the late Gene Rayburn was the host.
Yeah.
Johnny Olson was the announcer. Match Game 74.
Yeah, 74. Yep. I was 11 years old.
That would have been a hilarious show. That would have been a hilarious show to host and to be a part of.
And then we had the Hollywood Squares, of course, remember?
The Hollywood Squares, Paul Lind in the center square, absolutely.
And Goldie Hawn was on there occasionally. Goldie Hawn was on quite a bit.
And let's see, that was hosted originally by Peter Marshall, but then of course Tom Bergeron hosted it. For a bit. I think Whoopi did, for a little bit, or she was in the one of the
that's right. Yeah, sure did.
And somebody that we had on the show 3 times now who hosted it, John Davidson.
Oh gosh, yes. Gosh, yes. Yeah, he also sang, didn't he?
He has what he does now? He has a venue that he created in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. He's originally from Massachusetts. From about June to October, he opens up this cute venue that's really in a picturesque part of New Hampshire in the Lakes region, restaurants, very New England looking. And it's in Sandwich, New Hampshire, and it's called Club Sandwich. And it's a little entertainment venue. Yeah. And he has
I need to look into that to do a concert there. That would be great.
Tell him Jim Masters sent you, because he has it's very warm. He performs as well, but he brings in all this different talent from all around. He does it from June to October, and then in October it closes and he sails his boat and goes to Mexico, where his son and daughter and children are, and he's on the boat and all. And it's really, and then when you go in, it's like a shrine on one side to John and his career and photos and all kinds of amazing things. And then all these eclectic chairs and couches, and no 2 chairs are alike. Sometimes he comes in on a swing, he sings. And then again, he's got all these performers. We went up to New Hampshire to see him on one of the 4th of July weekends, and it was terrific. And he's been with us 3 times, and he's a gem of a guy, really, John Davidson, a multi-talented. He did everything,
That sounds great. Yeah, I need to look into that. Club Sandwich. I love that.
Club Sandwich in Sandwich, New Hampshire.
I love that. That's great. I think that'd be a good venue for Easton and I.
I tell you, I think Easton said, "Wherever you go, I go."
That's right.
Well, Easton, it was so nice to see Easton.
Thank you. Say thank you.
Thanks to Keith, and thanks to you, Danny. Really, absolutely a pleasure. Spread the word about our show. If you know other folks you think
I will
come on.
Of course I will. Absolutely.
Everybody tells each other it takes a village.
It takes a village. It certainly does.
And what we're doing is unique, I think. And
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
And you're going to keep you lovity it, right?
I love it. Yeah. There's nothing really like what you're doing. So yeah, I think it's phenomenal. The world needs this. It's great to kind of understand the artist. Not just what they do, sing or play or whatever they do, direct or act, but actually, you get to know them about their personal life a little bit too. So I think it's great what you're doing. Congratulations, Jim. Really.
Thank you, Danny. I appreciate that very, very much. We'll keep, as I always say, we'll keep the porch light on for you.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll be in the same zip code and we will break bread. That'll be a pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely. And this CD I'm going to sign to you, and my assistant who lives in the building will be mailing it to you here in the next couple of days. So if you will email me your address where you want me to ship
the information. Yeah. And there's the CD gang right there on the screen. Brand new, hot off the presses. And here is the website too, DannyWrightMusic.com. Cool stuff. Congratulations on that. You'll be hearing that, gang. We've got Sirius XM, of course, in our car and everywhere. And so I can't wait to listen to it. It's going to remind me of this evening with you here on the Jim Masters Show when I hear it.
Yeah. Now this album, I'll just say, there was a studio that we found in Azle, Texas, of all place, and they have a beautiful, beautiful Yamaha C7 concert grand, and it's called God Studio. And Chuck Ebert owns the studio. He's a Grammy Award producer and all of that. He was in some 80s rock bands, obviously in the 80s. But he now has a studio. So he actually helped me do this album. So I just wanted to mention him and thank him for all he did for this album. And then, like I said, it was recorded on a beautiful C7 Yamaha Grand. And his studio, it's called God's Studio. And
wow.
He's a very strong, very, very strong in his faith, as I am, and beautiful studio. So, but I mean, I still love recording. Keith and I can do things in my living room here too. And we obviously did. We did 3 albums together. So, and we did that beautiful Christmas DVD called A Glorious Christmas. So,
which is really nice. Yes, really,
I'll
really
nice. Yeah, I'll make sure that you get one of those too. So in about 6 months, you can start playing it.
We'll start playing it right away. You've got everybody in a festive mood already, my friend. A merry and a happy to one and all.
That's right. That's right.
Danny, thank you very much. And thank you to Easton and, of course, Keith assisting behind the scenes.
Yeah.
He did some really beautiful pans with the camera. Very, very smooth pans. We love it.
Yeah, thank you.
And you are welcome back to stop by our show anytime, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. You're so kind. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Best of luck with everything, okay?
Thank you. And to all your listeners, thank you very much from Easton and I. And we say thank you and God bless you all, right? Yes.
Right
thank
back
you so
at
much.
you, Easton and Danny Wright. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Incredible. Danny Wright here, acclaimed multi-million selling American pianist extraordinaire and an all-around great guy. Here's an opportunity to not only hear some of his music, but hear his story here on the Jim Masters Show live series. That's what we do here. We have real conversations. We don't just throw a couple of questions together and have a typical interview. Tell us about this and tell us about that and tell us about that. And you move on. There's no questions in front of me. We just have a good time. We let it roll, and wherever it goes, it goes. And what I love is that the guests really get a kick out of this too. They love the fact that we just let it roll. Sometimes a lot of them are used to the structured, or, this has structure to it, definitely behind the scenes, there's a format and everything. But sometimes they are relegated to a very limited amount of time and a certain structure, and have to answer certain questions that are pre-written and all. And that serves its purpose. And I've done that work in television and radio too. But this is something different, what we do here. The conversations, the entertainment, the interactivity, it's special. And I'm glad that so many of you have been telling us you enjoy what we're doing here at our series. It means a lot to me. As Danny expressed, when he hears feedback from people who really appreciate what he does as an extraordinary, composer, arranger, musician, pianist, all of it, recording artist extraordinaire, it means a lot to him, and it gives him the oomph to continue to produce and create more content, more music for all of us to enjoy. Same thing with this series too, with all the feedback that I get on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Jim Masters TV. Some of the emails and other quiet, private messages we get where people are waving the flag of positivity for our series, sharing the links, subscribing to the YouTube channel, giving us a thumbs up, leaving a comment, super chat, super emoji, super stickers, supporting us in the chat room, super thanks on the YouTube channel, all the different ways that people are connecting with us, with each other, as we celebrate life together. And that's what we do. And then I bring in celebrity friends and guests, and we have a phenomenal time. That's what we do here at JMS. And if you like it, come back and see us again. Come back and see us again real soon. We're here all the time. We're at almost 1,000 episodes in 3 years' time. So we are here. Wonderful show, Jim. I wish everyone a good night. God bless to Ms. Pat in Texas. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And Jane says, thanks, Danny, for being here tonight. Do come back. Thank you, Jim. The pleasure is all mine. Yes, Easton, a hit. That's what happens when somebody brings their family friend on. That's what happens. The family friend becomes the star. I just love that pup. He's so cute. And you also enjoyed listening to Danny play. This was a great conversation. Thanks, Danny, for being here. You are very welcome. Kathleen, who's watching in New York City, and everybody who's commented. And if you enjoyed this episode, one of many here, give us a thumbs up. There's a thumbs up icon on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Click the thumbs up, drop a comment in the comment section, interact, say hello, let us know where you watch from. Let us know why you enjoy our series. What did you enjoy about this episode? And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We love that. That helps us grow, and there's no cost to do that. And be sure and click the notification bell so you never miss any of our incredible episodes of our series. Now, we've been recently, celebrating our 3-year anniversary here on the show, and several of our guests wanted to express their affection for what we're doing here at the Jim Master Show, and when they were guests. And just want to share a couple of them here with you. We did a 3-year anniversary episode where we shared most of them, if not all of them. Here's a few from some of your favorite stars who have been with us here on the show, and we love them, and we love the words that they shared with us.
Hi, this is Melissa Manchester. Happy 3rd anniversary, Jim Masters. I'm so happy for your achievements thus far with no end in sight. I was delighted to be invited to be on your show twice, and we had a lovely time discussing my career and achievements, and what struck me was how delightful the tone was. It was not you were not looking for any gotcha moments. You, Jim, are interested apparently in restoring the art of conversation, and with that the concept of levity, which I just find charming and encouraging and delightful. So I look forward to chatting with you again, dear Jim, and congratulations again for making a space where people can share their ideas, where you can ask thoughtful, probing questions to see how we're all doing on our paths, our parallel paths. So wishing you many, many more happy anniversaries. Long may levity wave, and you too. Be well.
How beautiful was that from Melissa Manchester, huh? And if you didn't see the episode that was on yesterday, we had Lucy Arnaz stop by. And before that, before she came on for her return visit yesterday, which was an extraordinary show, she sent this for the anniversary, and we really appreciate her sending these words.
Hey, Jim, congratulations. That's quite a milestone. I've always enjoyed talking to you. You do a great show. Positive, optimistic, interested. You do your homework. We love being with you, and I hope we get a chance to do it again sometime. With love from Lucy Arnaz and Larry Leckenbill.
You know who also was a show guest? The incomparable guitarist extraordinaire Lawrence Juber. He played with Paul McCartney and many others, and he's a brilliant, brilliant performer. And he was a guest on our show. He played live, and he wanted to share these words as well. And we really appreciate it.
Hey, Lawrence Juber here with a shout out to Jim Masters on the occasion of the 3rd anniversary of his show. I really enjoyed the experience. It's great to work with an interviewer that knows their stuff, gets a good flow going. and just makes it a very enjoyable experience. So I hope that we get an opportunity to do it again. But all the best to you on this anniversary. Cheers.
That was awesome. I like that boom, boom at the end there. So many folks, again, they've been stopping by and just saying these incredible words. We really, really appreciate all of it. Speaking of Las Vegas, legendary comedian, and this is hilarious what she did here in the beginning, part of her shtick, as far as setting up the camera and everything. She's a legendary comedian, beloved, and she makes her home in Las Vegas, and she's always on stage, and she was a guest on our show. If you didn't see the episode, check it out. The legendary comedian Barbara Brighton had these words.
Is it? Yeah, just press it.
Yeah. And do I go around you?
No, just do me.
Just doing this?
Yeah.
Let me zoom.
Are you starting? Don't go zooming. Don't go zooming. How is it?
Good. I look good.
Shall I start?
Yeah, I already started.
Hey, Jim. It's Barbara Brighton. I'm making you a video of a little bit of me today without makeup, but because I love you, I'm doing it. I loved being on your show. It's so informative, and I had such fun with you. Once I got all connected, I'm sure you remember that. Anyway, I wish you luck on your 3rd anniversary, and you'll have many more wonderful guests with lots of wonderful news of entertainment and lifestyle, and I thank you so much for inviting me. Bye for now. Press.
press the stop button. She's hilarious. I love that. The legendary George Bunnell was with us. He, of course, with the iconic 60s group, the Strawberry Alarm Clock, known for a lot of hits. He wanted to share these words too.
Hi, this is George Bunnell of the Strawberry Alarm Clock, and I'm excited to be here for the 3-year celebration of the Jim Masters Show live. Over 900 episodes, mind you. Anyway, Jim is an engaging interviewer. I had a blast doing his show. He's fun, funny, and informal and informative. Anyway, it's an eclectic show. There's all different types of episodes. Rockers like me, you've got poets and actors and self-help gurus and cultural experts, all kinds of things, authors. It's really fun bunch of stuff to listen to. And some of them are pretty long. Like my episode, I couldn't believe how long it was. Anyway, I hope you'll tune in to YouTube and check out the Jim Masters Show live. It's really a blast. And you can find my band, Strawberry Alarm Clock, at strawberryalarmclock.com. Congrats, Jim.
Thanks, George. We appreciate that levity coming from you and from the group. Sissy Wellman is a legend. She was on, the Waltons and so many iconic television series. She's a dear friend of our show. She wants to come back, so we're going to have her back soon. But she wanted to share these words as well. She's a real hoot.
Hey, Jim. Sissy Wellman here. Happy 3rd year anniversary. Bravo. And what a joy it was meeting you and being interviewed by you. And one of the main things I really love about you is your love of Hollywood. I'm blessed to have been raised in it, but man, to find people that really love it the way you do, what a gift you are. You're a gift to us all. So again, happy anniversary, sweetie pie. And many more years of doing this, please. And if you notice, look who's behind me. I don't know if it's noticed, but that's my dad, Wild Bill. So, God bless, sweetie pie.
Thank you, Sissy Wellman. God bless you as well. Just a few. There's many more, but we really appreciate everybody taking the time. And we also appreciate you taking the time to stop by and spend all this time with us. If you've been with us since this show started, our series started, or you just found us today, we welcome you and we thank you for being here. Takes a village. Spread the word. Tell everybody you know about our series. Share the YouTube episode links and the links to our show on your social media. When you're talking with family and friends and colleagues, or you're at work, tell the folks, hey, did you ever see the Jim Masters show? Boy, you know, the water cooler talk they used to talk about all the time. People would see something on television or hear it on the radio. And then in the morning at the office, they'd be at the water cooler talking about this great thing they saw the other night. Well, consider wherever you are a water cooler moment. Tell everybody you know about our show. Ms. Pat in Texas says, and we thank you for doing that. Wonderful show, Jim. I wish everyone a good night. God bless to you as well. And Kathleen Walker in New York City, thank you so very, very much. The Queen of Queens. She did a super chat. That's a super chat that can be done when the shows are on in the chat room there. Thank you, Jim, for another awesome show. You never disappoint. Thank you for all you do. You are the best. Heart, heart, heart. Thank you very much, Kathleen. Really kind of you and your support of our show, your undying support of the Jim Masters Show Live series. We really appreciate that. And a beautiful Irish green color there as well, which we love. Thanks, Kathleen. And thanks, everybody, for being with us. This is your host, Jim Masters. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time. Again, for those of you who know, you know what the drill is. If this is the first time here, we don't say goodbye. We say step by, see us again. We say see you later, ciao, cheers, slancha, shalom, hasta la vista. What else do we say? We say sayonara. We say moi loop, cheerio, slancha, avida zain. Take care, be well, love one another, take care of one another. Don't forget to love yourself and share the positivity with the world. We could all use some more positivity in this world, right? We thank our special guest, acclaimed multi-million selling American pianist extraordinaire, the one and only Danny Wright, as a guest here on the Jim Masters Show Live series. Really a great conversation, entertainment, and having you with us just tops it all off. So thanks for being with us. We'll see you on the next one. Okay, gang, Jim Masters here for all of us at JMS. Take care and be well. Love you all, and cheers.